I'm sorry. I mean, like, yeah, lucky you. You don't have to deal with the craziness of being a 17-year-old girl. But at the same time, I'm sorry that you don't understand what that's like. Because when you're a 17-year-old girl, all you want is to fit in. All you want is to fit in, and you want to feel pretty, you want to feel like you want to feel pretty, you want to feel like you matter, you want to feel like you're awesome. And yet everything and everyone around you says you're not pretty enough, you're not awesome enough. Everything you like is bullshit. And it's really hard being a 17-year-old girl. Then add to that now that half your face doesn't move and you can't see. It's very upsetting. And so, in hindsight, the second surgery, the fallout from that, as grateful as I am to have lived through it, there's a part of me that's kind of angry about it, because after that surgery, I went from being essentially a normal 17-year-old girl who had vision problems to that, like you couldn't really notice that I had vision problems. You couldn't notice that there was anything going on in my life. Nothing. But I went from that to a 17-year-old girl with vision problems and facial paralysis, and I couldn't talk, and I couldn't eat. And it was noticeable. It was noticeable that there was something wrong with me. And I didn't want people to notice that there was something wrong with me. I want it to be normal. I want it to fit in. Like, well, it's not necessarily that I want it to be normal. I just want it to be a normal kind of weirdo, And it's taken me 14 years to go, you know what? It's fine, And so every year when March 11th rolls around, I feel that bittersweet feeling. That bitterness about, well, that was when I ceased to be visibly, quote unquote, normal, and when I started to be visibly abnormal. I don't smile a lot in public even now. And so a lot of people think I'm just angry, and I don't, and I'm not angry most of the time. I just don't smile because I'm insecure about that facial paralysis. If you follow me on Instagram, and I highly recommend that you do, because I'm narcissistic like that too, you know that a lot of my selfies involve me with having a hand up to one side of my face, and that's because I'm hiding my facial paralysis. Because I still want to look endearing and adorkable, but I don't want you to know that half my face doesn't move. Or I don't want to look back at that picture and go, ooh, I look bad because half my face isn't moving. And it's only been here recently that I haven't been doing that as much, because the reason that I'm giggling like I'm 13 years old instead of 31 years old, that's part of who you are, and I like who you are. And that's kind of cool. So there's that bitterness about the fallout from that. And I didn't sing for 6 years. And even when I started singing, it was an uphill battle. And even to this day, I get really annoyed hearing my voice sometimes. I recorded a video of me playing my ukulele and singing. And I haven't posted it yet because on one hand I'm like, oh, well, that's really good. It looks, but on the other hand, I feel like it sounds nasally and weird and, I don't know. I may re-record it. Anyways, but all the fallout from that makes me really angry that I didn't have a normal life, that I didn't get to do even semi-normal 17, 18-year-old things. I had a different path that I had to take. But it's also a sweet thing to look back on March 11th, 2004 and go, you know what? I'm glad I got to live. Because if I hadn't lived to face down the facial paralysis, the vocal cord paralysis, the can't eat freaking food for 2 weeks, having to learn how to do everything independently, and and I mean all the things that I've been through over the past 14 years. If I had died on that operating table, I wouldn't have faced down all the things that I've done over the past 14 years. I wouldn't be alive today. I wouldn't have my son. And again, I'm trying really hard not to cry because I love my son so much. So, I guess to bring it back around to something positive is, even though there was a lot that went wrong after the surgery, I'm glad I lived through it. I'm glad I lived to face down that pain, to face down that trauma, to laugh at it. Like my mom taught me. I'm glad. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be breathing. I'm grateful to be talking. I'm grateful to be singing. In case you hadn't guessed, the theme song to this show, I wrote it. I recorded it. That's me singing. It's not the best. I ain't no Beyonce. I'm not trying to be. But all that goes back to, I survived that surgery. I survived it. And it didn't mean that living through that experience meant happily ever after. But it meant that there was an after. I don't know about an ever after, but an after. And so as I'm looking at my life and looking at the things that I'm going through at this time, and I get scared and I get upset, I think I need to start remembering that I could have died 14 years ago, and I didn't. And that because I lived through it, I have the privilege of living through more pain. And then talking about it on a podcast in a rambly sort of way. I had another show planned for today. I'm not even joking. I have the outline right here in front of me, but I was like, nope, you know what? I need to talk about March 11th, 2004. That's what I need to talk about. Because I am grateful that I lived through that day. And I lived to see March 12th, 2004. I'm grateful that I lived through that pain and that trauma, only to face more pain and more trauma and more obstacles, only to get to where I am today, facing even more pain, trauma, and obstacles. But I'm grateful for it. It's not easy, but I'm grateful. And that's all I have to say about that. Actually, that's not all I have to say about that, but that's all I'm going to say about that. So, if you would like to follow me on social media, and again, I highly encourage that you do, the username to look for is PurpleBecca923. That's PurpleBecca 923. That is my username on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. And with regards to Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, I always follow back. Always. Always, always, always. PurpleBecca923 is also my email address at gmail.com. And the website, which I didn't work on this weekend because reasons, the website's still not up and running, the new one, but the old one is still there. It's Purple Bubble Space. That's purplebubblespace.simdiff.com. I think the recording paused because I had an alarm go off. So, I didn't mean for this show to go so long. Anyways, until next time, remember, go out there, create what you deserve, believe that you deserve it, and then create it so that you can fly with the penguins. I'll talk to you next time. Toodaloo!